The millionaire's wife forced her pregnant black maid to sing at the wedding, and what the husband did shocked everyone. The ballroom went silent. Vanessa Clark, the wealthy bride, smiled coldly and pointed toward the corner where a pregnant black maid stood beside a serving cart. For our next performance, Vanessa announced into the microphone maid, Emma will give us a very special show. Emma Wilson froze her face pale as security staff escorted her onto the stage. None of the 300 guests knew that this humiliating act would soon backfire, shattering Vanessa's plans and reviving a musical dream Emma thought was long buried. To understand how this moment exploded, we step back a few days earlier. At the Westwood estate, Vanessa strolled down the hall glancing at Emma as if through glass. "Working here doesn't mean I have to see you," she said sharply. "Stay out of my sight today." Emma lowered her head one hand, cradling her 6-month belly, and kept pushing her cleaning cart. Dust floated in the sunlight. Her job was to erase it. At 28, Emma once dreamed of Nashville. Life veered off course when Jake Miller, a sweet-voiced musician, vanished the moment he learned she was pregnant. In the kitchen, head chef Tony Diaz slid a plate of eggs, toast, and fruit toward her. "Eat." "You're feeding too," he said. Emma nodded gratefully. With enough overtime, she might finally afford the crib she'd been eyeing. The homeowner, Ethan Bennett, 40, a software security millionaire, was calm, observant, the opposite of his domineering wife who treated staff like moving furniture. As Emma bent to pick up a cloth, a sharp pain shot through her back. Looking up, she saw Ethan just a few steps away, brow furrowed. "Back hurting, rest if you need to," he said, before walking on, leaving behind a quiet question. How could a man like him be married to someone like Vanessa? That afternoon, Emma confirmed her Tuesday as a 7 p.m. ultrasound with Dr. Karen Williams. Around her, a circle of characters took shape: Ethan's elegant, kind mother, Maggie Bennett, his blunt best friend and partner, Michael Reed, the tense wedding planner, Julie Torres, and Tony the chef, who had become her protective older brother. Later, vacuuming the study, Emma unconsciously hummed a melody she once wrote about rising from ruins. Ethan lingered at the doorway listening. When she startled, he shook his head. "Don't apologize. Your voice is beautiful. Don't bury it." The small compliment drifted down the hall straight into Vanessa's eyes. Her nails dug into her palm. As Ethan turned away, Vanessa appeared. "The tuxedo's here. Try it on now." That night, Tony whispered, "Careful," with Vanessa M. Emma reminded herself, they marry, she just works. But passing the hall, she overheard Vanessa on the phone. "Leave the singer to me. I've got the perfect solution, kill several birds at once." The words sank into Emma like pins. At the rehearsal in Brentwood Country Club, Emma set linens and straightened flowers. Julie rushed over table 3, centerpieces crooked, "Fix it, please." A phone rang and Julie's face fell. The lead singer had laryngitis, doctor's orders, no singing. Vanessa faltered for half a beat, then laid her hand over Ethan's. "We can't use a recording. That song was commissioned." Maggie tilted her head. "I recall hearing someone at home sing beautifully." Emma. The stage was being set. That evening, Emma glimpsed Vanessa pulling Julie aside, voice low and sharp. Julie shook her head. "I don't think that's a good idea." Passing by later, she gave Emma an apologetic look, as if warning her of something inevitable. Late that night, Tony brought a slice of chocolate cake and whispered, "The bridesmaids are gossiping about a surprise, and they kept looking at you." Emma pieced it together, the sick singer Maggie's praise, Vanessa's scheme, Julie's guilt. She called Sarah an old Nashville friend. Sarah sighed. "Be careful. That setup sounds too convenient." The next morning, something unusual. Vanessa walked into the kitchen. "Good morning, Emma," she said with a smile that never reached her eyes. "I hear you sing well. Our singer fell ill. If something goes wrong, could you step in? Just a simple ballad. Only a backup plan. After all, Ethan has been so kind about your situation. Her gaze flicked down to Emma's belly like a knock on the door. Emma hesitated, torn between caution and the spark of a long-forgotten dream. She gave a small nod, and the wheels of fate began to turn. 6 a.m. On the wedding day, Brentwood Country Club was already buzzing white roses, catering trucks, photographers testing lights. Tony pulled Emma into a corner of the kitchen chair, ready. Sit and fold napkins, easier on your back. Emma gave a tired smile. Today's $250 if I stay late to clean up. Almost half the crib paid. By 10 a.m., Ethan stopped by the kitchen. You look exhausted. Rest if you need to, Emma teased. And you shouldn't be off trying on your tux, sir. At noon, Vanessa and her bridesmaids barked orders. This white is the wrong shade. Refold the napkins. Emma stepped out of the bridal suite, choosing instead to work in the main hall. At 1 p.m., Michael whispered as she passed Ethan's been hesitating for weeks. Emma shook her head. By 3 p.m., luxury cars lined up. Emma slipped backstage, steadying her nerves. At 4 p.m., the ceremony began. Vanessa dazzling, Ethan distant. Dinner followed with the replacement singer performing a pleasant voice, but forgettable. Vanessa remained unsatisfied. Maggie beckoned Emma sit, rest a while. At 8 p.m., the band readied for the first dance. Vanessa rushed over emergency. The singer doesn't know our song. She seized Emma's hand. Save us with one song. Ethan's mother praised your voice. Just one ballad, simple. From her gown pocket, she pulled out a lyric sheet, notes soaring high. Tony shook his head. You haven't performed in ages. Vanessa pressed eyes, flicking to Emma's belly. Because Ethan's been kind to your situation. Emma hesitated, then nodded. One song only. Julie led Emma through the back route. Will you rehearse with the band? It'll be fine. But ahead, violinists shrugged at the pianist. The conductor rifled for sheet music. None existed. Emma froze. This isn't fine. Julie faltered, guilt in her eyes. I tried to stop this. I'm sorry. Across the hall, Vanessa stood with her bridesmaids, smiling smugly. The trap was clear. Emma turned, but 2 security guards blocked the exit. Mrs. Clark requires you for the performance. On stage, Vanessa grabbed the mic, voice sweet with thorns. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's surprise, my maid thinks she can sing. 300 guests turned toward Emma, black, uniform, pregnant, belly impossible to hide. Emma stepped up, hands trembling. The bandleader asked, What song? We've got no sheet. She looked at the impossible lyric sheet designed to break her. She inhaled deeply, rewriting the script. Give me a slow 4/4. I'll sing my own song. The drummer tapped a beat. Emma placed her hand on her belly, drew breath. This one's called Rise from the Ashes. When dreams turn to dust. When the ones you trust leave you behind. The first line wavered, the second steadied. And by the chorus, her voice bloomed warmth and grit, filling the hall. The piano found chords the violin wove in. Waiters froze mid-step. Michael nodded faintly. At the entrance, Ethan stopped, no longer seeing a maid, but an artist reclaiming her story. The final note hung in the air. 3 seconds of silence, then the room erupted, applause crashing like waves. Emma stood stunned. Vanessa stormed the stage, snatching the mic, cute. Now, get back to the kitchen where you belong. The words slammed down class contempt in plain sight. Emma turned, not noticing the spilled drink. Her foot slipped hip, hitting the floor, hands clutched over her belly. Cut the music, Ethan shouted, shoving past guests, leaping onto the stage. Emma, are you cramping? Call paramedics, Michael dialed. Tony fetched towels and water. Maggie rose, pale-faced. Into the mic, Vanessa screamed, "What about my first dance?" But the room focused on a deeper question, people before pageantry or the other way around. Tony lifted his phone. Everyone should hear this. He hit play. Vanessa's recorded voice filled the air. "Don't let the pregnant maid off stage. Let her humiliate herself so she knows her place. Ethan will never know I set this up." The room froze. Vanessa protested. "That's edited." Maggie's gaze locked. "Vanessa, is it true?" Ethan stood tall, twisting his ring, then sliding it off. "It's over," he said, loud enough for those near him to hear. "This mistake ends now." He helped Emma into a chair. Paramedics arrived, checking quickly, then wheeled in a stretcher. Vanessa shrieked. "My husband isn't leaving with her." Ethan replied firmly, "No, you're not my wife. The papers were never filed, and they never will be." The ambulance doors closed, green and red lights flashing across the palms. Inside, Emma gripped her belly. The trap had snapped shut, but in doing so it unlocked a new path where truth, talent, and kindness would carry her farther than any glittering ballroom ever could. The ambulance doors shut. Red and blue lights swept across the palms, the siren fading, leaving behind a strange stillness. Emma lay on the stretcher, hands instinctively cradling her belly sweat beating at her temples. Ethan Bennett sat beside her tuxedo shirt, still buttoned bow tie loose, his eyes locked on her face. Paramedics fired questions: gestational age, bleeding pain location. Emma breathed evenly. 6 months. Right hip pain, no bleeding. Ethan cut in. She was forced on stage, then slipped on spilled water. From Michael's phone came rapid updates. The reception had been cleared, security escorting guests out. Vanessa dragged to a private room by her parents. Maggie staying behind to calm the staff. At Cedars-Sinai, Dr. Karen Williams performed an urgent ultrasound, steady fetal heartbeat, no sign of placental abruption, only hip bruising, and a few stress-induced Braxton Hicks contractions. "We'll keep her under observation for a few hours." The doctor said, her voice both professional and warm. The rhythmic thump of the baby's heart pulled the room back to what mattered most. Everything was still okay. Emma glanced at Ethan, nodding faint thanks. He returned a restrained smile. Messages flooded Ethan's phone. Michael had already forwarded Tony's recording to their attorney. Maggie had assumed control of the main house, ordering Vanessa to pack. "This marriage isn't legal." "We never filed the license," Ethan murmured as if to confirm to himself. "I'll end it now." "No, we'll deal with it later." Emma whispered ashamed, "I'm sorry I ruined your wedding night." Ethan shook his head. "You saved me from a huge mistake, and you saved yourself with your voice." Tony slipped a small bag to a nurse hot water bottle, clean towel, ginger candies. Through the glass he caught Emma's eye, raised his thumb, his look saying, "You've endured so well." Maggie arrived next, hand on her son's shoulder. "You did the right thing. Now take care of the two of them." She leaned close to Emma, smiling gently. "You sang beautifully. Don't ever let anyone tell you that stage doesn't belong to you." By dawn, the doctor said Emma could be discharged if her vitals stayed stable. In the hallway, Ethan answered a threatening call from the Clark family. "Don't make rash moves, this is family business." He replied curtly, "We'll handle this through lawyers." Hanging up, he returned to Emma's bedside, set a cup of ginger tea in her hands. "Rest more. And when you leave, don't go back to the main house." Emma froze. "Where? Will I stay?" Ethan inhaled as though he'd asked himself the same question all night. "There's a guest house on the grounds, private kitchen, separate entrance. Stay there until you decide your next step, and—" He hesitated a beat. "I want to invest in your song, not charity. A real deal. I have industry connections. Rise from the Ashes has hit potential. You keep songwriting rights, we'll split revenue transparently. It was a 2-layer offer shelter and career, not rescue empowerment. Emma looked down at her belly. I'm about to be a single mom. I don't know if I can handle it. Ethan nodded. That's why you need a safe space to recover and record. The rest lawyers' security press, Michael and I will manage. Discharged late-morning paparazzi crowded the gate. Ethan shielded Emma, ushering her into the car. They drove through the back road into a garden of orange trees, stopping at a Spanish-style guest house with white walls and red tile roof. Inside, Tony had already unpacked Emma's things, the fridge stocked with milk, fruit, and light meals. Maggie arrived last, carrying a maternity starter kit, ginger tea body pillow lotion, soft maternity clothes. Call me anytime, she said, and just call me Maggie. When the door closed, the house was hushed like a cocoon. Emma walked through the small kitchen, glowed under warm lights, the linen armchair in the living room, the bedroom opening onto a balcony over the orange grove. She stood at the window, hand on her belly, listening to midday birdsong, the first peace she'd felt in months. After a silence, Ethan asked, Honestly, why did you agree to sing, even knowing something was off? Emma gave a wry smile. Because sometimes being poor and pregnant makes you feel indebted to kindness. I wanted to repay you. But I learned one more thing. Debts should be paid with real talent, not with humiliation. Ethan paused, as if etching the line into memory. Then let's start tomorrow. I'll set up a recording corner in the living room. I've got a friend producer, Sam Carter, who wants to hear your song. Emma swallowed warmth and nerves rising. Okay, she whispered, but promise me one thing. Ethan met her eyes. Don't turn my story into a gimmick. Let the song speak. He nodded without hesitation. Agreed. That night, as the guest house went dark, Emma scribbled in her old notebook. Today, they tried to turn me into a joke, but I sang, and someone believed. Outside, the scent of oranges drifted through the cracks, the fragrance of a beginning. The next morning, Ethan carried into the guest house a set of sound panels, an audio interface, a large diaphragm microphone, a mic stand, and headphones. He arranged the gear neatly in the corner of the living room, laying down a thick rug to dampen echo. Emma stared at the semi-pro setup, overwhelmed. You really know this stuff? Ethan grinned. Old hobby, the rest we'll leave to the expert. By noon, the door opened, and Ian stepped Sam Carter, tall, salt and pepper hair, gentle eyes. I heard the wedding recording, Sam said, settling into a chair without small talk. The raw material is there, unpolished, real, straight to the chest. Emma stood behind the mic headphones, cupping her ears, eyes shut, as she tested rays from the ashes. The first take was tight. Sam lifted his hand, signaling her to ease her breath. The second take, Emma loosened her shoulders, letting the word ashes fall like drifting soot before flaring at rise. Sam smiled. That's it. The grain in your voice, the fine grit of lived experience, is what radio money can't buy. He proposed a stripped-down demo vocals plus piano with just a whisper of live violin. The plan crystallized. Weeks 1-2 finished the demo. Week 3, Sam would bring in trusted session musicians to a familiar studio. Week 4, Emma would cut the lead vocal and double certain chorus lines. Ethan handled scheduling contracts, copyright stressing Emma Wilson at the top of the credits. My role spelled out clearly in production. Emma was stunned by such transparency, rare, especially for a black woman starting from the bottom. Outside, the Clarks hired a publicist to spin a love triangle narrative. But Tony's recording circulated among the wedding guests, killing the fire at its source. Ethan tasked Michael with legal and PR handling, while keeping his distance from Emma in public, true to his word, let the song speak. Maggie stopped by, daily bringing pastries, tea, and stories from her past that made Emma laugh. In that warmth, the raw demo took shape, no excess, enough silence to let her voice shine. By week 3, Emma's August belly grew heavy. One dawn at 3 a.m., she texted Ethan, "My water broke." Within 10 minutes, he was there. The car sped to Cedars-Sinai. 6 hours later, baby Lily Wilson cried her first cry, 7 Nalbas 4 Oz, with a dark tuft of hair. Maggie's hands trembled as she touched the tiny foot. Tony stood outside, the glass eyes wet an angel. Emma held her child, throat choked with fragile, fierce joy. While Emma rested in the hospital, Sam sent a trial mix soft Steinway piano violin, whispering wide space for the vocal to carry and linger. Ethan played it on his phone beside the bassinet. The room hushed. Emma whispered, "Beautiful. But please don't let them label me the maid who was humiliated." Ethan nodded. "I've read the whole rollout plan. It's about the song and resilience, never about exploiting your pain." A week postpartum, Emma brought Lily home to the guest house. Ethan arranged a part-time nurse so Emma could sleep, and Sam brought a mobile rig to capture her lead takes right at home, a baby monitor humming nearby. Something strange happened. Emma's post-birth voice carried a deeper warmth, as if sleepless nights' milk scent and infant cries had carved a mother's register into her throat. Sam nodded vigorously after the final take done. "Don't touch it further." The label heard the master and greenlit early release. The campaign was Talent First Minimalist cover Emma Wilson, in bold rise from the ashes spanning half the frame. Press kit brief focusing on her songwriting and performance, not sensational headlines. Emma still fretted. "What if people only listen because of the drama?" Sam answered calmly. "They'll come for the story, but they'll stay for the voice." Release, Day 7, 30 a.m. KBLA premiered the track climbing fast across platforms. Emma cradled Lily in a rocking chair, listening to her own voice on the radio, the DJ saying, "Born from an unbelievable wedding moment," before the song swelled. Meeting Ethan at the door, coffee in one hand, a tiny pink teddy bear in the other, she whispered, "I heard it. I still can't believe it." Ethan's phone buzzed, Sam reporting radio playlist ads out of the state of first-day streams exceeding projections. Within 2 days, the song broke into the top 100 digital, then the top 50. A music blog wrote a stripped ballad, sharp and unadorned, sung with a grain of truth no gloss can fake. Emma exhaled relief they were talking about the music. She laid Lily in the crib, opened her notebook, the spark of a new melody arriving unannounced. This time it smelled not of ashes but of sunlight on the guest house porch. Late at night, silence blanketed the grounds. Ethan leaned against the doorway, watching Emma rock her child, his voice lowered to a vow. "Tomorrow no interview touches Lily unless you want it. The story is yours to tell." Emma nodded, eyes full of gratitude. Outside, the orange-scented breeze seeped through the cracks. Inside, a new song was forming, not to prove she wasn't a maid, but to declare she was Emma Wilson, singer-songwriter, mother to Lily, and a woman who had reclaimed her own voice. Sam Carter's text arrived at dawn, top 40. By noon, he called again, his laugh low and steady, top 25. That evening, an entertainment show ran wedding guest footage of Emma singing with the caption, "A humiliating collapse turned into a musical beginning." Rocking Lily in her chair, Emma whispered nervously, "What if they're only here for the drama?" Ethan Bennett shook his head. "They might come for the story, but they'll stay for the voice." On day 3, KBLA played Rise from the Ashes during prime time. Stations in Austin, Denver, and Seattle picked it up. A music blog gave 4 stars minimalist ballad, sharp lyrics, a voice with the grain of lived experience. The label sent a schedule selective interviews, no humiliated maid, framing just the writing and recording process. Emma set boundaries. No filming Lily, no guest house shots. Ethan added all crews must sign NDAs. It was the first line Emma drew in her new career. By week 2, the song hit top 15, then top 10. Sam suggested a showcase of 2-3 songs for industry insiders. Emma worried who'll watch. Lily Maggie Bennett volunteered. Let the honorary grandma handle it. Tony Diaz promised to guard the backstage snacks. The team agreed, keep it small sharp, no frills. Emma chose monochrome attire, no ball gown. The stage doesn't need anyone's permission for me to belong there. Meanwhile, Vanessa Clark's camp pushed secret love triangle rumors. But Tony's recording was already in the hands of many wedding guests. Major outlets passed. Ethan's attorney fired off defamation warnings. Michael Reed filtered press access shielding Emma from venomous questions. The smear campaign fizzled. Emma realized truth plus disciplined information flow could silence noise. When ashes climbed to number 5, Ethan brought a potted plant and a framed printout of the weekly chart with Emma Wilson in bold. To mark the first milestone, he said. The guest house, though warm, was temporary shelter. Emma longed for roots for her and Lily. They toured a bungalow in Studio City. One-story, small lawn, a room that could be soundproofed. She signed with tears in her eyes. I never thought I'd own a home in L.A. At the housewarming, Maggie stocked Lily's closet. Tony carried in soup. Michael popped sodas. Everyone knew Emma was breastfeeding. Ethan mounted a mic stand in the spare room. This will do until Sam brings better gear. A priceless moment, laughter in the kitchen. Lily cooing in the living room. Emma realizing she stood in the middle of a chosen family not by blood, but by care and respect. That night, Emma sat by the window finishing a half-written lyric. The word ashes turned into dawnlight, the meter shifting from 4/4 to 6/8 like a new heartbeat. Sam heard the draft and nodded. This could be track 2 of the album. The label emailed proposing a short LP minimalist spirit intact voice at the center arrangements like threads. Emma replied, only if I keep full songwriting rights. The label sent back an addendum agreed. The next week, Ashes hit number 3. The showcase drew 60, including veteran A&Rs. Emma spoke briefly before singing, I was told I didn't belong on stage. Tonight I'll sing as if I'm in my living room. 3 songs, 12 minutes, not a note wasted. Afterward, a famous singer whispered, keep it lean, don't let anyone bedazzle your voice. Emma smiled, I won't. Pressure followed denser interview schedules ad offers with heavy single mother framing. Emma rejected anything that smelled of pity marketing. Ethan built a checklist. No invasive questions, no Lily footage, no wedding night mentions beyond 3 lines. When a reporter asked, are you still a maid? Emma answered calmly, I'm Emma Wilson, the writer and singer of this song, and Lily's mother. The rest are just labels for others to stick on. Night fell. Phone pressed to her ear, Emma replayed the mix of Ashes. Outside, Ethan stood on the porch, staring at the street sign, thinking time to step back from running the company and build something else, a fund for artist parents. The name came to him, and he smiled. The Lily Foundation. Official news broke Ethan gradually handed over company operations to Michael and launched the Lily Foundation, offering scholarship, studio time, and childcare for artist parents. He invited Emma to the advisory board. No one understands the pain points better than someone who just lived through them. Emma's eyes filled. If there had been a childcare corner by the studio back then, maybe more women wouldn't have abandoned their dreams. Just as things looked bright, a strange call came in. This is Jake Miller. The familiar yet distant voice, soft and hesitant, I saw you on TV. I want to meet my child. Emma's breath caught. The day I told you I was pregnant, you vanished. A year, not one message. I'm different now, Jake pleaded. Give me a chance. Emma hung up, hands trembling. That evening, she told Ethan. His reply was immediate. Don't meet him alone. Let the lawyer handle it. The next morning, family attorney Barbara Chen sat in Emma's Studio City living room notebook open. Legally, he can request a test for paternity, but abandonment for many months is strong evidence. I recommend supervised visits only, no overnights, until Lily turns 3, retroactive child support from birth. All communication goes through me. Emma doesn't meet or reply directly. Ethan added, if they leak to the press, my media team will block it. That afternoon, another unknown caller, Dennis Miller, Jake's father. The voice was gravely self-assured. We're Lily's family. You can't keep her from us. Emma stood tall. Please speak with my lawyer. A chuckle came back. Got money now, so you act superior. She hung up, heart racing. Ethan placed a hand on her back. The court looks at Lily's best interest. From now on, everything is on record. Amid the turmoil, Sam called The Voice wants you as a guest performer next week. Just one song, Ashes. Emma flinched. Live television? Sam chuckled. You survived your wedding night. This stage is kinder. Maggie clapped. I'll watch Lily backstage. Tony promised food. Ethan hired private security. Any Jake who showed up escorted out. Her performance on The Voice was stark and intimate piano bass, a thread of violin warm light. Emma stepped out in a simple black gown, speaking one line. I wrote this when I thought I'd lost my voice. But a voice never disappears, it only waits to be heard. When the last note fell, Rise from the Ashes trended, streams spiked, the label moved up the album release. Emma went home, held Lily, breathed in milk, and baby hair sweat, feeling anchored in the storm. The next day, Dennis sent Barbara an email, a family reunion proposal with the demand for posed baby photos for memories. Barbara shot back 2 curt lines. No. All visits supervised private. Support according to state guidelines. She simultaneously filed for a temporary protective order against media harassment. Emma learned to log every call, every message, to say, please contact my lawyer. Each repetition straightened her spine. Meanwhile, the Lilly Foundation announced its first grants, 10 artist parents receiving scholarships, studio hours, and child care. At the award event, Emma gave a brief speech. I once thought motherhood meant burying my dream. I was wrong. We just need an open door. In the audience, a young drummer holding his 3-year-old daughter wept. Ethan stood beside Emma, eyes soft. One late night, Emma was drafting lyrics when Jake showed up at her door unannounced. I just want to see my daughter for a moment. Ethan emerged from the back, Lily in his arms. Jake's eyes flashed with envy. So this is why you shut me out. Ethan stayed calm. All communication goes through the lawyer. Leave now, or I call the police. Neighbors peeked out. Jake backed away, snarling, the court will decide. When the door closed, Emma locked it with shaking hands, whispering through tears. What if he shows up at the Hollywood Bowl? Ethan answered. We'll have security. Maggie will always be with Lily. You just sing. 2 days later, a massive billboard rose on Sunset Boulevard. Emma Wilson, Rise from the Ashes. Driving past, she laughed out loud, then cried softly. That evening, Ethan arrived with cheap pizza boxes sitting on the living room floor beside Lily's crib. I still owe you one question, Emma said quietly. What are we? Ethan paused, exhaled. I don't want to label us until you're safe, legally, emotionally, as a mother. But I'm here every day. Emma nodded. That's enough for today. An email from the label arrived. The album track list was locked. Ashes at track 3, opening with a brighter song. Sam added a text. Hollywood Bowl sent an invite. If you're ready, that could be the night of your life. Emma looked at Lily, sleeping, pressed her hand to her chest, and felt her heartbeat steadier after weeks of storms. Outside, the palms rustled. Inside, a mother and artist inscribed her name with 3 clear words: voice boundaries, grace. The Hollywood Bowl invitation lay on the kitchen table like a summons over 17,000 seats, a summer night, a 60-75-minute set. Sam Carter had stuck a yellow note on the cover. Keep it minimal, fewer instruments, more space voice at the center. Emma Wilson looked at Lily asleep in her crib, breathing slow to chase away the dizziness. What if I freeze in front of that sea of seats? The thought slipped out, only to be gently countered by Ethan Bennett. We'll rehearse until fear has no room left to stand. Studio City became their training ground. The small bedroom converted into a rehearsal space. Sam brought back the pianist and violinist from the Ashes recording, plus a soft cajon for a few up-tempo songs. The set list formed like a sine wave opening with a bright new piece written after moving into the house, Sunrise on Ventura, dipping into 2 ballads, climbing mid-show with a 6/8 mid-tempo, then descending to Rise from the Ashes as the closer. Tony Diaz became Logistics Captain Meals rest schedule, low-salt menu for vocal cords, honey lemon ginger water. Maggie Bennett took Lily shifts watching the baby while Emma drilled long sessions. Meanwhile, attorney Barbara Chen filed for a temporary restraining order against Jake Miller after his unannounced visit. The judge granted it, Jake barred from approaching Emma and Lily all contact through counsel. He was required to undergo paternity testing. Emma did not object, with supervised visitation only at a center, no overnights, and child support backdated from birth. Dennis Miller. Jake's father softened quickly when presented with the hard numbers. Michael Reed coordinated with Bowl Security private rear entrance photo ID guest list RFID tags for backstage. Every possible breach sealed tight. Emma entered phase 2 of her media education. Speak short, speak right. She talked about writing and recording instead of reliving the wedding night. Reinforced boundaries around Lily. Rejected weepy single mother pitches. Ethan printed a checklist by the door. No filming the baby. No entry into private rooms. No more than 3 personal questions. Violation, sec removal. For the first time, Emma felt her spine straight without strain because a protective ecosystem surrounded her. In practice, Sam coached like a vocal director breathed low. On ashes, don't push, let it fall. Emma tried again. The word drifted down like fine dust, then lifted effortlessly into rise. Pianist adjusted voicing violin softened vibrato, leaving Emma's breath audible. They chose no LED spectacle, just warm spotlights, light haze. That night, the stage should be your living room, magnified 1,000 times, Sam said. Life filled the gaps between sessions, Maggie telling stories of Ethan sleeping on the office sofa in his startup days. Emma laughing, imagining the man now setting up sound panels as a skinny, sleep-deprived kid. Tony doubled as part-time nanny, walking Lily around the yard while her mother ran takes. Takeout dinners became ritual, everyone in a circle naming one thing they were grateful for. Emma's refrain, I'm grateful for my voice because it brought me home. As for Vanessa Clark, rumors said she'd flown to New York after the family trust lost donors. Tabloids fizzled when Tony's audio sat in major editors' inboxes. Emma made a conscious choice never to mention Vanessa again. Her new strategy built not on opposition but on her own value. One afternoon, the Lilly Foundation hosted its first grant ceremony in a modest Burbank studio. 10 artist parents received hours of recording time, small stipends, childcare vouchers. Emma spoke briefly. I once thought motherhood meant folding dreams away. Turns out all it takes is someone to open the drawer and say, take it out, I'll guard the door. In the back row, a young rapper holding his toddler son sobbed openly. Ethan watched Emma with the gaze of someone recognizing his life's compass. The night before final rehearsal, Barbara called the court had formalized the temporary deal. Jake limited to supervised visits for the next month, support payments beginning immediately, all posts about the child removed from social media. Emma exhaled, as if laying down a solid stone for Lily's future. She typed a lyric into her laptop. "No one can take your voice when you're the one holding it." Sam read it and nodded. Keep it as the spoken interlude before ashes. At the bowl, the crew took their stations. Spotlights tested echoes ricocheted from the empty seats. Emma stepped out, tried the opening line. Her own voice expanded 17,000 times, yet unbroken. Ethan watched from the front row, counting her breaths with his eyes. When rehearsal ended, he said only one thing. "Tomorrow, just do today again." As everyone left, Emma lingered under the open sky of the bowl. She pressed a hand to her sternum, steady heartbeat beneath her palm. A year ago, she'd been dragged on stage for humiliation. Tomorrow, she would step onto the stage herself to rename her life. The performance day began with Lily's 5 a.m. cry, a gentle reminder that before she was a singer, Emma was a mother. Maggie arrived early, scooping up the baby so Emma could rest another hour. Tony brought chicken soup bread and honey lemon ginger water. Ethan checked the security list one last time. Private entrance family room near the wing's response team if anyone violated the TRO. Barbara texted, "If Jake shows, call 911 and give the case number to the on-site police." The safe zone was locked. By afternoon, sound check was brisk, just enough to save her voice. Sam reminded her, "Don't add sparkle. Everything's already enough." Emma tested the mic, hearing her own warmth in the monitors. The pianist ran the intro to Ashes. The violinist tuned, then put the instrument away to keep strings fresh for the show. The hours stretched thin. In the quiet room, Emma sat with her hand on her chest, eyes closed. Ethan knocked gently, carrying Lily. "Someone wanted to wish you luck." The baby grabbed his finger-gummy smile wide. Emma laughed at the scent of milk and baby powder mixing with hairspray, a scent called home. "Aren't you afraid I'll freeze?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. "No. If you do, I'll count your breaths with my eyes like at rehearsal." They held each other's gaze longer than usual. Something shifted left, unspoken. 5 minutes, an assistant called. Maggie took Lily, whispering, "Grandma will be right by the wings." Emma inhaled deeply, rose. In the hall, Sam touched her shoulder. "Out there is just your living room magnified. Tell your story with your voice." The house lights dimmed. The MC's voice boomed, "Please welcome Emma Wilson." A warm spotlight fell. The crowd was an ocean of stillness. Emma paused, listening for her own calm. "A year ago, she said, I stood on a stage not by choice. Tonight I choose this." Applause rippled, perfectly placed. Piano eased in like a door opening silently. Sunrise on Ventura set the tone, bright words lilting, 6 to 8 rhythm shoulders unclenched across the bowl. The second song felt cinematic violin telling a side story. The third stripped bare, every whisper audible. Mid-set, Emma spoke briefly. "I once thought my voice was lost. Turns out it was waiting for me where I dared to draw boundaries." Silence answered, focused, affirming. Beyond the stage, a man in a baseball cap lingered by a side exit. Security zoomed the cameras, matched the TRO photo, and escorted him away before trouble sparked. Ethan never told Emma. The center of the stage stayed undisturbed. The set flowed to its close. Sam signaled the piano, dropped the opening chords of Rise from the Ashes. Emma placed a hand on her stomach out of habit, though Lily now slept safe with Maggie. This song is for anyone ever pulled off their own stage. The first note landed warm, breath low, ashes falling instead of forced. By the second chorus, the audience sat in perfect hush, some dabbing eyes. In the bridge, the violin stitched a single thread, the final note hanging before dissolving into peace. 3 seconds of silence, the rarest silence. Then the flood applause rising like a storm on tin roofs. Emma bowed, tears in her eyes. In the front row, Ethan lifted Lily high like a small lantern. Maggie, Tony, and Michael clapped their palms raw. Encore chants erupted. Emma returned with only piano, gifting a hushed reprise of Ash's chorus so the crowd could carry its echo home. Backstage was a storm of the best kind, radio managers dropping cards, a late-night host requesting a long interview, the label pushing to release the album sooner and launch a small tour. Emma filtered with the questions she'd learned. Is there childcare backstage, weekends, instead of long runs? No Lily footage, full credit, transparency. Yes answers earned a slot. Hedges got a polite smile and goodbye. When the hall emptied, Ethan found Emma in the quiet room, Lily asleep on her chest. You just renamed the stage that once tried to wound you, he said softly. Emma shook her head, smiling. No, I renamed myself. They let the silence carry the truth. Sam poked in. It's airing. Tonight's streams will explode. But the most important thing is, you kept the story yours. That night, back home, the little potted plant Ethan had given her still sat by the window, streetlight painting its leaves gold. Emma laid Lily in her crib, opened her notebook, and wrote, When the applause ends, what remains is the steady breath of my child and a new song. She strummed a few raw chords, hearing in her mind a melody that smelled not of ashes but of tomorrow. Somewhere in the city, a man sat bewildered by court orders and support payments. Elsewhere, editors drafted headlines about the minimalist stage that silenced 17,000. But in a small Studio City home, a black woman once humiliated as a maid was quietly building a life with 3 tools: her voice, her boundaries, and the people beside her. And that was the applause that would never fade. The morning after the Hollywood Bowl, Sam Carter's phone buzzed nonstop radio stations begging for slots, late-night shows offering acoustic sets, a music magazine running the headline 3 seconds of silence at the bowl changed a singer's trajectory. Ethan Bennett filtered invitations through the agreed frame. No Lily on camera, weekend gigs only, family rooms backstage, transparent credits. Anyone who said yes quickly he kept. Anyone who hesitated he smiled and passed. Emma Wilson did what she knew best, caught an extra hour of sleep, nursed Lily, then opened her notebook to finish the half-formed interlude born at the bowl. That afternoon, the label's email arrived, album release moved up, retitled after its opening track, Sunrise on Ventura. The cover, Emma gazing through a car window on Ventura Boulevard, sunlight pouring like honey. Inside, Rise from the Ashes sat at track 3, bracketed by songs bright, and still placing ashes within Dawn's frame, as Sam had said. Maggie proofed the booklet suggesting one more line in the thanks, add Tony under Family by Choice. Tony chuckled, as long as my name comes after Maggie's. Legal news came at the same time. Barbara Chen called the family court date was set. Jake Miller had filed to establish paternity the DNA matched and demanded unsupervised visitation. Barbara stacked files before Emma Jake's year of absence, Dennis's harassing texts, the approved TRO. Our goal, she said, is Lily's best interest, stable rhythm. Primary caregiver bond, supervised visits, standard support. And if progress is real, steps upward, one at a time. On hearing day, Emma wore a plain black dress, no jewelry. Ethan sat behind her, Maggie with Lily in the family waiting room. Jake entered in a pressed shirt, eyes flickering between regret and pride. His lawyer pled father's rights. Barbara pled continuous responsibility fevers at night doctor visits 3 a.m., bottles all borne by one. The judge looked Jake squarely. You were absent 12 months, that is fact. If you wish to be a father, you start with parenting classes and supervised visits. No social media posts, support payments from birth. The gavel struck. Emma felt her spine weighed down, then lightened a quiet kind of justice. Outside, Dennis approached, voice lowered. I just want my granddaughter to know. Family. Emma softened slightly. Lily will know she's loved, but it takes discipline and respect. Start by showing up on time and staying silent online. He nodded for once without retort. Sunrise on Ventura released 2 gentle buzz reviews called it a living room, magnified praising how Emma left space for listeners to breathe. In week 1, the album cracked the top 10 Ashes re-entered the top 5 remixed lightly for late-night radio. The Lily Foundation, buoyed by Bowl momentum, gained more funding. Ethan announced a second round of grants, adding an on-site childcare room at the community studio. Emma stood beside him at the event, not just an ambassador but the designer of the parent-artist experience. Then came the most personal boundary. What are we? The question Emma had saved since the bowl night. One evening, after Lily slept, they sat on the porch steps. The air smelled of orange trees, the city restless as the sea. Ethan spoke first, direct. I avoided naming us until you were safe legally, emotionally as a single mother. Now, if you want, I want to cross from chosen family to family full stop. Emma looked at his hands roughened from building her studio, then at Lily through the window. She smiled unguarded. I want that too, but on one condition. Ethan tilted his head. That we never trade my music for an image. And in this house, Lily and I never have to ask permission to belong. Ethan nodded slow and firm. Agreed. They didn't rush a kiss. They signed a small pact with daily life. Ethan split time between Studio City and the main house mornings walking Lily so Emma could rest dinners together with each person naming a gratitude. Emma often said, I'm grateful for those 3 silent seconds at the bowl. They gave me courage to ask a question. Ethan replied, I'm grateful for the song that brought you into my life. Elsewhere, Vanessa Clark sent a short email via Ethan's lawyer. I'm sorry for what happened. No offer, no demand. Ethan passed it on. Emma read it, set the phone down, and said simply, Forgiveness is for me to feel lighter, not for her. Then she returned to her pencil and staff paper, where a new lyric knocked. We don't build a home on applause, but on steady breaths. 6 weeks after release, the label floated a mini tour. Friday to Sunday, only big cities' intimate venues. Emma agreed on old conditions, same checklist, a share of closing night revenue to the Lily Foundation. The poster showed no fireworks, only Emma with a plain microphone. And so, in an industry addicted to spectacle, a black woman once humiliated as a maid stepped forward with her own light, her voice, her boundaries, and the people beside her not loud, but as steady as her daughter's heartbeat in the room next door. 1 year after the bowl, the Sunrise on Ventura tour moved like a steady breath. 12 cities weekends only, each with a backstage family room. Maggie became a diaper-changing expert in tight spaces. Tony built a healthy voice menu for every city: chicken soup in Chicago, ginger porridge in Seattle, vegetarian pho in Austin. Ethan carried cases, checked mic cables, and kept time with his eyes from the front row whenever Emma needed grounding. The press quieted. The music grew louder. A spring feature in a major magazine read, Emma sings, as if naming each person in the room. You don't leave with fireworks ringing. You leave feeling a hand on your shoulder saying, I'm here. The Lily Foundation grew the right way. 2 more childcare rooms by the studio, a partnership with a community theater for parent artists to rehearse. At every show, Emma shared a 2-minute story of a grant recipient, not hardship but progress. The legal file neared its close. Jake completed parenting classes, showed up on schedule at supervised visits, stayed offline. He requested more time. Barbara proposed a step plan, gradual increase, still no overnight support, consistent review, only after 6 months of compliance. The judge agreed. For the first time in months, Emma came home without trembling to unlock the door. She set Lily on the playmat and whispered as if to herself, "Boundaries aren't walls to divide, they're fences to protect what matters most." In San Diego, the last night of the tour, the crowd rose during a hushed version of Ashes. The encore call rang out. Emma returned with an unreleased song, Perfect Harmony, written about a man who counted her breaths when she forgot how. Ethan bowed his head, knowing the song named more than him, it named their bond. Back in Studio City, the summer garden smelled of green citrus. Maggie rocked Lily to sleep. Tony cleaned the kitchen. Michael texted congratulations, Ethan's company thriving under his leadership, the foundation close to a new partner. On the porch under string lights, Ethan set down a small box. No fireworks, no haze, just insects buzzing. "I once said I wouldn't name us until you were safe. You are safe now because of you, Lily, and those who stood with us. I want to name this a family." He opened the box, a slender ring, a small stone like a note that never drowns out the melody. "Emma, will you marry me?" Emma laughed through tears. She didn't look at the ring first. She looked at Ethan, the man who knew when to step back, when to step forward, and when to let the song speak. She nodded, small but certain. Yes. With one old yet new condition in this house, music is respected as much as Lily's sleep. Ethan vowed it, his hands trembling as he slid on the ring. Their joy wasn't broadcast. Maggie knew, first embracing Emma welcome home. Tony mock complained no one let him bake a wedding cake, then made one anyway, simple as their lives, orange blossom, white cream, no frills. Barbara mailed a card. Happiness is a long contract, signed with repeated small acts. On the album's 1-year mark, the foundation hosted a showcase for parent artists at a community stage. A rapper with his toddler rapping about stolen breakfast. Minutes, a cellist playing a lullaby against children's breaths. A painter reading a poem about vaccines and deadlines. Emma didn't close the night she sang mid-program, then stepped aside for others. In the front row, Lily, now toddling, clapped on bead eyes wide. Ethan bent down and whispered, "See, baby, the stage belongs to your mom." That night, after everyone left, Emma returned to the bowl not in body but memory. The 3 seconds of silence echoed like distant surf. She traced the arc from a cold stone hallway where someone said, "Stay out of my sight," to an open-air stage where she said, "I choose this." From a woman dragged on stage to be humiliated to an artist stepping up to rename her life. And between those shores she'd built a bridge with voice, with boundaries, with the people beside her. Before bed, Emma opened her notebook and wrote a line for Lily, daughter, "If anyone pulls you off your own stage, sing until you remember your name." She set down her pencil, listened to Lily's steady breath in the next room, and hummed just for the night to know this day was also a triumph. No fireworks, no haze, only the orange blossoms outside, and a song growing the right way. Slow, patient, steady, like the love she now called by its truest name, family. From a stage where she was dragged to shame to a Hollywood bowl night, she chose Emma Wilson. Proved this when you defend your boundaries, trust your voice and lean on chosen family, you truly can rise from the ashes. The Lily Foundation keeps its doors open to artist parents, and Emma, a Black mother. Singer-songwriter turned her fall into a hit and a healing journey. Your turn. Which moment in Emma's journey struck you most? And if you were in her place, forced to sing, would you perform their song or raise your own voice? If this story inspired you, hit, like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more journeys of rising from the ashes